Hey guys. So crazy Uncle Charles just spent 3 minutes talking to you about math, and I didn't have my didn't have my earbuds in, so you couldn't hear me. Anyway, uh, we're gonna talk about math again, and I know you already know I like math, and I've even made the assertion that you ought to like math, but really, like, why should I like math? Let's get into it. What if I told you that the secret to a great story that people are gonna love and just be drawn to is math? Okay, I'll let you pause, go get a shower, and you can come back later when you've cleaned yourself of that horrible thought that you just had. Um, but really, um, what I'm don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying we're gonna all become like we are robots and math is the answer to every story. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is there are mathematic principles that if you know them, they can help you to get the story out, um, and help you maybe polish up what comes from your heart and what comes from your soul. Nothing's ever going to replace you. Like, God didn't create you to be disposed of. God created, like, He's something special within you, and that cannot be replaced with math. But what math does, it's so beautiful, is it allows you to quantify the story that's coming out and be like, okay, is my timing a little bit off? Or how can I make it just a little bit sharper? It'll if you can put numbers around certain things, now maybe you can make the story that comes from your heart and is beautiful that God put there. Like maybe you can take that and you can capture it more clearly. Because sometimes I think that we have this great story that we can kind of see, but we see through a mirror dimly. And if we can have some tools in place to help us to sharpen our view, it's like, having a little help with, glasses. Maybe, I don't maybe I don't like wearing glasses, but I need them to be able to see. And maybe math can help with that. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's going to replace you or just that would be ridiculous. Okay, so really quick, just I want to show you two pictures, and like this one, you look at it, it's pretty natural to look at, right? You like the way this picture looks, and I'm going to show you this one now. And you probably can't describe it. You probably like in your head, you're like, man, that's squish, or like it just feels like you can't breathe. It's claustrophobic. But what if I told you that it's not just that? What if I told you that the secret difference between that and this is this? Um, this is the ratio from like the height to the width of this image. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you what the ratio is here, but I can tell you what this one is, and it's even got a name. It's called the golden ratio. And the reason it is called the golden ratio is a long time ago, artists figured out that this is beautiful. And it's like mathematically proven that people like this. It's just throughout the years, artists have discovered that this shape is pleasing to the eye. So, and I say mathematically proven. You can't mathematically prove that somebody likes something. I'm just being crazy Uncle Charles right now, so just bear with me. But like artists have noticed over the years that this is a pleasing shape. And I can tell you right now, this is not. Um, so that's part of, that's part of what I'm talking about um, when I say that maybe math can help us with stories. So like maybe you've heard of the Fibonacci sequence. If you if you have great, sorry, I'm a little ill right now, but if you have great, if not, the Fibonacci sequence is a sequence of numbers that's just like, let's see, we'll just drop this text layer. Nope, we don't want them that small. Okay, so we start out at 0 in the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, and then the next number would come 2. We just add add one because we don't have anything. So we go to 1. Now, in the next sequence, the next number in the Fibonacci sequence, we add the last two numbers together and we get 1 because 0 and 1 is 1. So now we add 1 and 1 together and we get 2, and then 3, and then 5, and then 8, 13, 21. You see what you see where we're going with this, right? 34, 4, and it just goes on forever. The whole sequence isn't that important, but um, the idea behind the Fibonacci sequence is you have this like we're growing out towards infinity and it just gets bigger and bigger. And you really, if you haven't seen, there's a tool video, Lateralis. I think it's go look up Fibonacci and tool and you'll see it. Um, they actually use the Fibonacci sequence to write that song, and it's pretty great. And you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing with writing. So imagine, you're like um, you're writing and you're trying to think of like your action and your pacing and story beats and the thing about it is we instinctively respond to like crescendos and then decrescendos, and the Fibonacci sequence matches that. And that's why I think you should probably go watch the tool video, because they do in the tool video, they do something that I think writers could just straight up steal so effectively. Like looking at your story beats. Yeah, can't just copy and paste that. Stupid Charles. You have this like mirror in their song where, they have their beats and they're going up to 8 and then some, rarely up to 13 and then back down and then up to 8 and back down. And it just creates this beautiful rhythm that is repeating, and then you exit out. And if you can just steal that when you're writing a story, um, you're gonna you're gonna write a better story. It's not, what am I trying to say? It's not that, see, this is why it's hard. This is why it's hard because it's already a concept that's hard to understand, and then we're trying to explain it with numbers, so that makes it a lot it makes it difficult, right? But if you can grasp this, it's going to help you. So figure out like, okay, where is my climax? Uh, like where on the Fibonacci scale? Do I want to go all the way up to 21 in intensity, or is it enough to go up to 13, or is it I only want to go to 8? In this segment. And if you want to go up to like 21, you're going to have this super dramatic tense scene that unfolds. It's probably going to be the climax of your whole story. This is a big theme, right? And so if you're going to go all the way up there, you need to start here. And then you need to pace it out. And you got this little bit of a slow start. And then you're getting more, a little bit more exciting, a little bit more exciting, and a little bit more. But then now you've got a choice in your story. Like, we're telling the story. Do we want to go? Do we want to go straight to eight? Maybe we don't. Maybe we go back to three. And then maybe we go back up to five. And now we travel to eight. And then maybe we get to 13 and like maybe even one of the characters dies here. Who knows? But something major happens at this spike in our story. And we go back down. We take things back down because our audience, they're emotionally tied to the story, right? I mean, in a sense, what they're reading is happening to them. And so, like, we've taken them on this wild ride up to, up to volume level 13, and something really dramatic is happening. Now we need to give them a little bit of time to rest before we, oh, no, too much rest, before we go on to another peak. So we give them a little bit of time to rest and just when they think, oh man, glad that's over, we start ramping it back up. We thought we killed the bad guy. We thought that that monster was down. And then we're in a bar and somebody starts laughing behind us. And we realize that guy's possessed and he's in league with the monster. But before we can react, he runs out and he's gone into the darkness. And it's like, okay, what just happened? And so the next morning we wake up and we start investigating what's going on. And we track them down to his lair. And but we got to sneak in. And then we have the big ultimate fight with the big bad. And you see what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to keep going, but do you see how there's like this rising of action and we're not never taking the person like we're never jumping from like we're in a tavern and we fight the we we go from like we're in a tavern, we just woke up and there's the boss and we fight and it's over. No, there's this rising of like this rising action and then we have a climax. And we don't go from like, we killed the Dark Lord and everything's over the end either. Once that happens, we got to take the audience back down and get back to a point where it at least makes sense to exit the scene or exit the film or the story or the book or whatever. Um, and if you know the term Fibonacci sequence and you can um, you can kind of think of it uh, your action as an expression of like the volume. You can kind of think of your story as like a symphony that, what would sound beautiful if you were listening to it. You don't want to crank the volume up from 0 to 100 and have all your instruments going from nothing, unless you do. If you know what you're doing, you can make that work, like sometimes you'll come in on a roar, right? I'm not talking about that, but you need to do that intentionally. You don't need to just like have that sneak up on you is all I'm saying. Um, and when you do come in on a roar, you want some way out of that. Like maybe you've been watching something unfold that happened a long time ago, and it makes sense that way. But that's not your story. That's like I'm getting way too deep in the weeds. I'm sorry. Um, if you can like layer these numbers over your story, they can help guide you to adjust the volume up and down along the path that your heroes are taking throughout the story, and it can make your story better. And that's just another reason I love math. I wouldn't know. that that works if I didn't know about the Fibonacci sequence. So go listen to the tool video that I mentioned. It's a great video. It's maybe a little long, but you'll enjoy it. Think about how what they did with music you could just steal and use in your next story, and just have an awesome day. I, I really I really hope this helped you. I love you guys, and thanks for just hanging out with Crazy Uncle Charles. I'll talk to you next time.